Do you have a pet or a horse, cat, or dog that maybe you rescued or even adopted, and they've had past abuse or even trauma, and you're trying to work through this, and sometimes it just feels like you're beating your head against the wall? You know, you want to give them kindness and empathy and work through this, but it can be a little frustrating. Or maybe you've heard that, it's all their problem and not yours. What does that mean? Well, welcome today to today's show. My name is CJ Gilbert, and I'm your host of Hang Out with CJ. And I'm broadcasting live here from my farm in Casanova, Wisconsin. And we're nestled in the Okooch Mountains, and that's in USA. And I'm sharing with you out-of-the-box thinking and possibilities for your pet, whether it's for health, behavior, even like what I talked about earlier, with trauma or past abuse. I actually got into studying all these different alternative therapies and ideas and possibilities out there because of one of my own horses. She came to me and had some soundness issues. She walked very stiffly. It was almost like she was walking on eggs. And the consensus was get rid of her. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. She had the most kind heart and big heart. She was an ex-racehorse, a thoroughbred, and I wasn't going to give up on her. I knew that she was going to help me to grow, and in the process, I'm going to help her to get better. I just knew it. I knew it in my heart that there was other possibilities. And so it really set me on a quest to study and learn all these different possibilities out there. And at the same time, I was having a career change. I had worked for an equine vet for many years, and then I got into the floral business. I actually have my master's in floral design. And I was moving out of that and looking into other possibilities. And a coach actually worked with me and said, how about getting in with the animals again? That seems to be where your heart is. And I said, well, I've got 2 little boys, and to go back to school could be, it's just not in the cards for me right now. And she says, no, there are many different opportunities out there. And some of them you can take online. Some of them are courses that are maybe last a week. And she said, because you have such extensive background with animals, this should be a piece of cake for you. Because I also studied animal science in college. So I thought, okay. So I started researching, and I started traveling and taking all different kind of courses. And of course, I always presented my case with Hazy Hostess. And through those trainings, she became better. And then what happened is I had fellow horsemen see what I was up to and said, hey, could you work on my horse, my dog? And I also work on riders too. So it became a business. And I'm always, still to this day, I love to learn. And so if there's something out there that's available that could help the horses, could help the dogs and cats, help people, I want to learn it. And so about, I'm trying to think, it was about 8 years ago, I learned about oponopono. And I don't remember how I actually first discovered it, but I think I went online and started to research it. And there was a few articles, and I had listened to some recordings, and I shared it with a friend who's also been a client for quite a few years. And I said, I'm not quite sure if I'm doing this right, but, let's just play with this. And she's like, okay, why not? And she had an experience where she was out walking her dogs, and she lives on a farm, and one of the dogs was young. I can't remember if it was her dog or if it was her son's dog, but he was young. I think it was her son's dog. He was young and just full of it. And he came back to her, and what he did is he ran behind her and clipped her, and she fell backwards. And I think she could have even gone out, had a concussion. And she started doing this Hawaiian process. And she was able to get up, went to the house, and her husband, once she explained what happened, he says, maybe we should take you to the emergency room. She says, no, I think I'm okay. She was concerned about the next day was her retirement party, and she says, I don't want to walk in all crippled, and stiff and sore. So she then did the process that night when she went to sleep. And the next day when she went to her retirement party, she felt great. She was fine. I used it when I was out taking a walk, and part of my farm has woods. And so I was out in the woods sitting down, and my horses came in to check out and see what I was doing. And the younger horse was limping. And I thought, oh my goodness, what's going on? So I went over, and I didn't see anything in the hoof. She had a little bit of swelling, so it didn't seem real serious. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this Hawaiian process, this oponopono, and see what happened. And so I sat down and went through the process, and then I felt peace inside, and I noticed her walking out to go graze, and she was walking normal. And I thought, wow, this is kind of cool. So then I found out that there was a seminar being held in Chicago. Now, Chicago is about 5 hours away from me. But I contacted my friend, and I said, do you want to go? And she says, yeah, let's do it. So we went, and I think it was a 2-day course. And it was interesting because a lot of the people that were there weren't sure why they were there. And then I found out that there had been a email that was sent around, and that's why they were there, because of this email. And I went, wonder what this email is. So then when we went to lunch, the people we were sitting with, they were very skeptical. And so then my friend shared her story, and then I shared my story, and they were like, wow, okay. So it kind of gave them proof. We all like proof. And then when we came back, I asked the instructor, Dr. Hulin, if I could share one of my experiences. And he smiled, and he's extremely intuitive. And he said, yes, go ahead and share. And so then I did. And it really, changed the tone in the room. And what was interesting is the last day, I went up to him and thanked him for the course, and really felt like I just felt expanded and excited, about learning more and more. And he said to me, do you work with children? And I said, no, I don't. I said, I work with animals, mainly horses, dogs, and cats, sometimes beef cattle and oxen, and, who knows. And he says, well, that's interesting, because I see you working with children, and this is going to be really important. And I'm like, children? So as my friend and I left, and she's like, well, that's strange. I wonder why you picked up on you working with children. You don't work with children. And I said, I know, I don't. And then about 2 weeks later, some of you may have heard this, or some of you may not have. Our little school of 300, and that's from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade. So it's a very small rural school, had a shooting. And we ended up losing our principal. And I sub at the school, and I sub once in a while, mainly because I want to be part of the school to know what was going on with my children, and I want to be connected with the teachers, and I wanted to help. And I got called in just about every day, and I was subbing in all different areas of the school. And then another lady who does massage therapy and myself offered our services. So we set up massage tables, and any of the teachers that wanted a healing, they could come in, no charge. And so we did that several days. And so later on, when I was talking to my friend about, what was going on, and the emotional charge and trauma that we were all going through, she said, do you remember what Dr. Lynn said? I said, oh my gosh, he said I'd be working with children. So he picked up on something that, you know, I would be working with children. So what is Ho'oponopono? Well, you know, this is my understanding, and again, I'm just giving you an opportunity to learn a little bit about this. There's books, there's audios. You know, you can go to the website, and of course, take the seminar if you're more interested. Because again, I can't teach it, but I can share with you my experiences. So, to me, it's about making a wrong right, and it's about erasing the memories. We have programs that we automatically run by. And so have you ever noticed somebody that's in a bad situation, you know, a relationship that's not going so great, and they get out of it and they get into another one, and it's the same old thing over again, and you think, how could they attract that? Well, it's these, you know, programs that keep running and running and running. And we do the same thing with our animals. We can run these programs and not even know it. You know, we just automatically, it seems like we go into them. And then the scenario can repeat over and over again. When I took the training, what was very interesting, and then I found out about this email, is the email was sent out by Dr. Joe Vitale. And Joe Vitale found out about Dr. Lynn, and through some interesting course of events, was able to connect with him. And then he wanted to get the true story, because what he heard is Dr. Lynn healed a complete ward in Hawaii, and it was a I think it was like a psychiatric type patient ward. And when I took the training, that got brought up, and there was actually several people who worked at this Hawaiian hospital and said, yes, this is a truth. This is a fact. It happened. So there were people that were shackled. There were people that, you know, just all kinds of wacky stuff. And the help didn't want to be there. They would call in sick a lot. They, the large or high turnover of employees. So it was pretty not the greatest place. And so they offered the job to Dr. Lynn, and he said, I'll take it, but I'm not going to see any patients. And it's like, what are you talking about? You're not going to see any patients. So this is what's different about Ho'oponopono, is you don't work on them. Like, I don't work on the animals. I work on myself. And I work on what's going on in me that's creating that. That's a part of that. And so what Dr. Lynn is he worked on himself. And over, I'm not sure how many years it happened, but people were getting better. And some of the people that, I don't know if you call them patients or inmates, they started getting better. They started acting better. They, things changed, totally changed. And I think it ended up being shut down because they no longer needed it. And so that's a big difference. Like I said, usually when you're working with another person or an animal or a relationship, you think you got to work on them. And this is different. You work on yourself. And so you don't have to be with them. You don't have to be in person. You're just working on that part of you that is creating this. And so there's 4 phrases, and what you're doing is you're making a petition to the divine to please erase these memories and erase these programs. And you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. And it doesn't matter in what order. It just is, you're noticing that there's this program running, and that you're offering it up to the divine to please clear it. And even just saying, I love you, because everybody wants love. And I worked with a client a few years ago, and she had a horse that had this erratic growth going on. You know, his front end be high, then his back end be high, and then he was off in the back, and it was just all this wacky stuff going on. And you know, and the vets said, well, maybe we should try this, maybe we should do this. And I had been working with her a little bit before this, so she contacted me, and I said, well, I'm going to do Ho'oponopono with you guys. And so we did this, and then I talked to her about saying, I love you. Saying, I love you to the problem. Saying, I love you to, you know, sometimes we say it to something that's good, but why not you say it to something that's not so good, that's going on, or that's bothering us. And what happened is the horse started moving normally. We call it sound. He started moving great. And she also had some problems with the neighbors. I don't remember if it was a goat or something like that. And she would say, I love you to it. And his behavior changed. She also said what was interesting is her horses got more playful. And the one horse is a stallion, and he usually wasn't playing with the other two horses. I think they were gelding. And he started to play with them. And just his behavior changed. So, and I want to tell you too, Ho'oponopono, when you take the training, they're talking about with people, they're talking about relationships and things like that. But he also talks about your environment. You know, you can be with your car, your furniture, anything, because you're interacting with it. Now, when I learn these things, I always think, how can I switch this over to work with the animals? Or are they working with the animals on this? And so it's very easy because being you're wherever the problem is, you're there, right? So you can work on yourself. So my name is CJ Gilbert. You're watching Hang Out with CJ show. And, you know, down below in the comments, say hello. And maybe where you're watching from. And have you tried Ho'oponopono? What do you think about this ancient Hawaiian process or prayer? So anyway, say hello. I'd love to hear from you. There is a few books that I've gotten a hold of. And this one's called, let's see, can you see it? Boy, that's hard to see, isn't it? It's called The Easiest Way. It's by Mabel Katz, K-A-T-Z. And she's got a website. There's several books that you can get, you know, ebooks, or, you know, if you want copies, like I like hard copies. But anyway, she gives her experience and how she uses it, and she uses it a lot. I believe she's was an accountant. She still may be an accountant, and so she uses it with her business, and she helps other business owners and things use this. And here's a book by it's called Zero Limits, and this one is by Joe Vitale and Dr. Hugh Lin, and it's got lots of information in there. And again, you know, Joe's not trying to teach this; he's just trying to share the information along with Dr. Lin. And then from there, if you feel drawn to take the seminar, or you can also get DVDs, and you know, there's lots of information out there. So again, you're not working on the animal, you're not working on the people. You know, if I've got a problem with my husband, I'm not working on him, I'm working on me. And so it's, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. And when I think of it, when you know, when I'm working with say my horses, I might I do, just like everybody does, we have these memories from past experiences, from childhood, and it could be even from other people, and that can dictate how we show up with our horse. And it also dictates how our horse or our dog or our cat shows up with us, because it's like we got this program running. So doing Ho'oponopono, you are asking the divine to please erase these memories. And then you're back to what I call a clean slate. And now you can create something different. And usually what happens is you get this amazing inspiration. Oh, let's try this, or oh, let's do this. And But it also is cool is to notice what changes in that person or that animal. And again, you're not working on them, you're working on yourself. So my name is CJ Gilbert, and you're watching Hang Out with CJ show. I like to share, my, I guess, trainings and ideas and from my own business and also from my own life experience, because I've been around animals all my life. There's always been horses in the pasture, dogs on the porch, or dogs in the house, and a cat in the bed. And so you can, take from these different things and see what works for you. I also work one-on-one with people and their animals, and you can go to my website. You can see the address there in front. I also offer horse and rider reconnective clinics where I come and work with a group of riders, and we work with you and your relationship with your horse, and we talk about lots of different things. And I really like having a variety of tools, because what might work with one person may not work with another one. And so I like to have a variety of things that I can offer. And some people just stick with one thing. I don't. However, there is next week's show, and I've fallen in love with that. We don't even call it a technique. I guess it's kind of a philosophy, maybe. And that has been my new fave of anything. So Ho'oponopono is about erasing those memories. So, another thing that is, I just heard it the other day and thought it was very interesting that we still have this mindset that food is, for the most part, it is horrible. I had to take my mom to the hospital for something, and we went to the cafeteria there to eat, and this hospital staff, I don't know if she was a nurse or what, she picks up a brownie. She goes, "Oh, I shouldn't have this because it's horrible for me, but I'd really like to have it." And I looked at her and I said, "Can you just enjoy it?" And she's like, "What?" I said, "Can you just enjoy it?" She said, "Well, I guess, yeah, I could do that." And I said, "Okay, try it. Just enjoy it." We have programs running. We have thoughts, we have beliefs running, and it's not the food, it's these programs running and these beliefs that are running, and that's what creates, that, oh, this is bad for me, and the food says, oh, I'm supposed to be bad for you. Okay, I'll be bad for you. Before I had my fall off my horse, I was very slender. And I ate whatever I wanted. I didn't judge food. I didn't say, oh, you're bad for me, or oh, you're good for me. I just ate what I wanted. And I remember when I worked at a flower shop that I managed, and I could not believe how people were so obsessed about food. And, you got to eat this. No, you can't eat this. And, oh, my God, you ate that? Well, you better eat this with it. And I'm like, this is crazy. And then meanwhile, they're trying to keep, get weight off. And it's like, whoa. But these are all programs. These are all beliefs that are running. And so you have an opportunity. Why don't you just say, I love you to the food? I love you. I love you for being nutritious for me. And tune into your own inner guidance. Does your inner guidance say, yes, I'd like to have this, that inner being? Or, well, no, maybe not today. I don't want that. If you trust your inner guidance, you're not going to go wrong. Your inner guidance is going to lead you to what's going to be the best for you. And so anyway, try saying just, I love you to your food, even to your pet's food, and to your, I say it to my horse's grain. I say it to the hay. I say it to the hay field. I love you. I appreciate everything that you do for us. It changes the vibration, it changes the frequency, and it changes a lot of things. My kids, when they were younger, I would have them guess the ingredients in the meal, whatever I made. And so they would, start listing off the different, oh, there's beans in here, there's carrots, they list off these different things. And I said, oh, but there's one more. And for, when I first started doing this, they're like, one more? And they look at Dad, and he's like, I don't know. And then I said, love. I always put a big dollop of love in there. And they go, oh, yeah, love. Because love just makes everything wonderful. It just changes that frequency. So anyway, Ho'oponopono, that's one part of it, is just saying, I love you. I love you to the memories. I love you to these programs. I love you to anything. That's one part of it that you can do. And another part of it, you can say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you and thank you. On Facebook, there are a few people that are offering where you can go into a group setting, and they do it's called clearing these memories, these programs, and you can do it as a group. You could check that out, but also you can go to their website too, ho'oponopono.org. So again, you're watching Hang Out with CJ show, and my name is CJ Gilbert, and I'm really excited that you stopped by today. If you used Ho'oponopono, or maybe even some of the other processes that I've been sharing, please put it in the comments, because it helps other people to know, you mean I could use it for this and I could use it for that? Well, that's pretty cool. I had one lady who said she started using Most Benevolent Outcomes, and she was really excited. She's now going to try it with everything. So that's really great. I'm glad that it's working for her and for many people. So next week's show, it's called Reconnective Healing. And reconnective healing is very interesting. It's I know that I was already doing this before I took the course, but taking the course just gave me some information and kind of validation, saying, oh yeah, that's what you're doing. Because I like to look for things that help the animals, and there's a few things that can be a little bit tough, and I thought, you know what, no, they don't need to be tough, they can be easy too. And if we created it, we can create a different outcome, we can create a different possibility. And so I have a client who lives, I don't know, maybe 3 hours away from me, and so I work long distance. Most of my clients are long distance, so which means that you don't have to travel. You don't have to haul your horse or your cat or your dog to me, and I don't have to travel to you. We just talk by, we can do it by email, Messenger, on Facebook. We can do it on, Skype or Google. You tell me your concerns, and then we end the call, and then I do the reconnective healing on your animal, and then we connect usually a few days later, and you can share with me what you've noticed different. So this client of mine, she had messaged me and said, and she's been a client of mine for probably 10 years or more, and she said, her horse was kind of lethargic, and I asked her, well, you going to check in with the vet? And she says, well, I don't feel it's that serious, but would you check in? And I said, sure. And then I said to her, would you mind if I try this new healing modality? And she said, sure, I trust you, go ahead. So I did. And a few days later, she contacted me, and she says, wow, what did you do? Because he had a goiter. It shrunk 50%. And I did not know he had a goiter. That's the difference too with reconnective healing, is I don't need to really know all the problems, the symptoms, and some of these other things that I learned. It's like, oh my gosh, I need to have this huge diary of everything. What did they eat last week, Friday at 3 o'clock? No, don't need to do any of that, which is so wonderful. It's easy for the horse or the dog or the cat, and it's the changes are amazing. So anyway, usually it doesn't have to be this way, but usually you can do 1 to 3 sessions. So she said, let's do 2 more sessions and see what happens. And he started to get energy too. So the second session, it again shrunk more, and the third session, it went back to normal. And it's stayed like that. And I think it's been a year and a half now that happened. He is over 20 years old. I think he's 21 now, years young, and he acts like he's a colt. she trail rides, and she trail rides a lot. And she goes on not short trail rides very much. She really loves to be out and outdoors. And this horse goes. Before I was doing reconnective healing, she had thought about retiring him. And now it's just like been the ticket for him. So since then, I've used it with other different that I know about, or I don't even know, or are unknown, different kinds of concerns. And I've seen it change behavior really quickly. On my website, if you go there, there's a testimonial about a dog that I saw at, I gave a demo at this horse facility, and the changes happened in a short time. I think like an hour later, they noticed this horse or this dog had changed, and it had some. It was rescued, and I don't know if it had trauma or some past abuse. I'm not quite sure. Don't remember. But anyway. So that was really cool. And then what I decided to do is get certified. So I went out to Colorado and spent a week out there, and I'm trained up to the highest level. So I offer reconnective healing for animals and also people. And I worked on a person the other day, and this lady, she had fallen in a hole. She was chasing a horse and and it wasn't in the dark. She was trying to get it back in. It had gotten out of the pasture, and she had fell in a hole and hurt herself. She didn't know. She broke her tailbone or what happened. She got to the chiropractor, and they said, well, this is what's going on. That's what's going on. So we're real good friends. So I offered her, I could do the reconnective healing, and she said yes. So I did that with her, and her leg popped back into place. And then she was having some issues with a relationship, and that shifted. So what's cool about it is you never know how it's going to affect you. It's always positive, though. I've always seen it be positive. And I've seen like this, her leg pop back into place. I've seen it with horses where, bones, their skeletal shifted back into place. I've seen behaviors changed. I've seen the relationship between the rider and the horse change. Even with the rider, because I work with them too, shifts really fast. So of all the training I've had in the past 16, 17 years, this is probably my most favorite and what I use the most. I do use a little bit of some of the other things once in a while, but reconnective healing is probably my all-time favorite. Why? Because it's simple. And the other reason why is I always get, I don't say but I should say the animals, there's always some kind of positive results. And it may not show up how we think it's going to be showing up, but it usually shows up way better than what, and I no intentions, just open it up to the animal and the divine and these frequencies, and just, I call it magic, and let it happen. So that's going to be next week's show. I'm going to share more case studies, or stories, I should say, from my practice, and even from my own personal experience with my own animals. And boy, time goes fast, doesn't it? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's show of Hang Out with CJ. And if you have any comments or questions, I go back in and check them out, post down below. I also started a Google's community, and you're welcome to join. I like to share uplifting, quotes and stories, and you're more than welcome to share if you've got, something that you're working on. You want support for, if you have a particular goal or target, and you don't necessarily have to be, well, most of them I think are animal owners, or pet owners, I should say, or guardians. But you don't, you just have to be an open mind. I guess you'll know if it's right if you want to join. So anyway, thanks so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate you, and you taking the time out. And if you really like these shows, please share them and let other people know, because you never know. I've had people who've watched previous episodes who have gotten it from somebody else and said how to help them with their relationship with their pet. So you never know how you can pay it forward by sharing these episodes. And let's see. So next week is going to be Reconnective Healing. And then the last Tuesday of the month, I'm doing Q&A. So if you have any questions you would like to ask about your pet, and also if you'd like to be on the show with me, I can take people, and you don't have to come here. You can, just use your computer from home. And there's a few things that you'll need to make it work, but it's pretty easy. And I can walk you through that. And that would be fun if you'd like to be on the show and ask me a question live. So if you're interested, just post it down below and we'll connect. So again, thanks for watching Hang Out with CJ, and I'm your host, CJ Gilbert. And as always, happy trails.